Some soft contact does in the Milwaukee Brewers. In one of the few times this year, the Brewers kind of were taken out midway through the game. A loss is a loss. We'll get into that. Not too much, but we got other things to talk about with the Milwaukee Brewers as well. On this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Chuck Freeman here. Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Yeah, the Brewers got beat 7-3 by the San Diego Padres on Monday. First two-game losing skid of the season. We're going to get into that. Some power rankings. Boy, the Brewers sort of suddenly are getting some respect. That Apple TV fiasco last Friday, I want to get into that as well. We'll get some of your texts as well. And a little update on Christian Yelich. Talk about all that coming up here. Locked On Brewers is heard on Google, Spotify, Apple, around all the major downloads. Get us on anywhere you get your audio platforms for any of your podcast. We're the number one Brewers podcast on the internet because you great Brewer fans out there. We're producing great content every day, Monday through Friday. And on weekends, we do shorties as well, kind of instant reactions. But we're here covering the Brewers for you all the time. I'll be down covering the game on a Tuesday night, down there covering the game. Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the Brewers getting back on the winning track as they fell 7-3. So lots to get to. Also, you get our show on our growing YouTube page. Please go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode. Please, wherever you are, become a subscriber on our platforms, audio, YouTube, you name it. And of course, as always, follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, Freimund. You got a comment or concern or whatever, something's bothering you about the game or middle of the day while you're having lunch, just, hey, tag me. We have a little conversation. I might not be able to get back to you right away, but I'll try. I certainly will. Always love talking to the great Brewer fans out there. And of course, if you ever run into me at the game, hopefully you're nice. I'll be nice. You buy me a beer, I'll buy you a beer, and that's how it goes. But anyway, Brewers, 7-3. Man, got off to a quick start, 3-0 in this game. Thought, okay, bounce it back after Sunday's game. But then came the middle innings. Joe Ross had a little issues there in the fourth inning, got away with just one run. And then the fifth inning, 6 singles, leading to a 6-run fifth inning. And that 3-1 deficit for the Padres turned into a 7-3 lead. Neither team scored the rest of the night, and that was it. Now, I know we're going to look at this game and we'll say, well, Joe Ross was a victim of soft contact. They a lot of bloops, base hits, and seeing eye ground balls or whatever. But I look at it that way, but I don't. I don't look at it, well, the Brewers hit some hard hit balls that, they could have been up 6-0. They weren't up 6-0. Okay. The bottom line, these were base hits that fell through them. Yeah. Joe Ross, happy with his performance. Murphy came out and defended him, said, this is not Joe Ross's fault. I get all that. But the bottom line is, I look at the loss column and he's tagged with a loss. I don't look at this as a hard luck loss by any means. Okay, he still gave 6 singles. I don't care if they're bloop singles, Texas leaguers, or what. There were a couple of catcher's interferences. Well, there was one catcher's interference. The other was a wild pitch. And Ross did have a pitch clock timer where a walk was issued. I guess that's his fault. But, it's team loss. I'm not putting this on Ross, just a team loss. The Brewers, a little quiet night offensively after, some early offense, but weren't able to get much against Musgrove. I believe he allowed 7 hits. But, a lot of times the Brewers, if they have a faulty inning like that, well, their offense has been able to pick them up. Hasn't been the last 2 games that hasn't happened. They did come back on Sunday, took a 4-3 lead on a Perkins home run. But still, I'm not going to make a big deal about it. It's a loss. Yeah, Joe Ross, call it what you want. Soft contact, seeing eye base hits. I don't care. to me, it's still a loss. A loss is a loss, and we move on. It's only one loss. Brewers dropped to 10-5, and doesn't change my opinion about this team whatsoever. I do think starting pitching is eventually going to be the problem on this team, and it's going to trickle down to the bullpen. I think that's the offense will mask some of that problems. If the offense continues to hit like it has been, okay, I don't expect them to hit at that rate. The runners in scoring position, they were hitting over 400 there for a little bit until Sunday. I don't expect all that to continue, but I think that eventually what's going to happen, I think the starting pitching is going to eventually could get to these guys. It could happen. I think so. They're going to need some of those pitchers on that staff to overperform. Joe Ross in his last outing pitched, I believe, into the 7th inning last week against Cincinnati. Pitched great. He did. In this one, again, I'm not going to make excuses. That soft contact stuff and all that. A loss is a loss. Okay. And Wade Miley is on the hill coming up on Tuesday. But I do worry that eventually that starting rotation, which was not really taken care of in the offseason, is eventually going to take its toll on this team. I hope I'm wrong. I don't mean to be negative. I'm just being objective. I'm just telling you what I feel. And I think any smart baseball fan, any smart Brewer fan out there is going to feel the same way. I saw some guy, Freeman's being negative the other day. Come on. I mean, that's just, I don't know what somebody's trying to get at by saying that, but I'm not. I'm not going to go down that road again. But the bottom line is, it's one loss. Who cares? They lost a game on a Monday night. They'll come back Tuesday. Let's get this one Tuesday and take the series on Wednesday. But offensively, a night off, blew a 3-1 lead, and just didn't get the job done. We come back. We're going to find out Tuesday what's the story with Christian Yelich with his back. Is he going to go on the injury list or not? There's going to be a decision made on Tuesday. We'll get to that. We'll talk about power rankings, Apple TV, and that fiasco. All that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day, and we all have played Monopoly. I love playing Monopoly. Next to Stratomatic Baseball, and I don't know how many still play Stratomatic Baseball, but next to Stratomatic Baseball, I would love to get in a Stratomatic Baseball league. I would. Played that as a kid growing up. Would love to get in that. But Monopoly would be number 2. And Monopoly Go is a really popular game right now. It's been downloaded over 150 times. A great twist on Monopoly where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. If you have a competitive side, like I do, you can team up with friends, people all around the world in timed tournaments to win huge awards. So get in the game, join your friends, download Monopoly Go now. Monopoly Go now, free on the Apple Store, on the App Store, on Google Play, and you're going to want to take advantage of this. But go out there with your friends at work, crack open a community. How about get in some tournaments for some extra rewards, climb the leaderboard? It's all there. Monopoly, man, that was a fun game growing up as a kid. It's one of the first board games that I learned, and I think that game still stands the test of time. Download Monopoly Go, now free on the App Store and Google Play. Check it out, download it. It's a pretty cool game. All right, Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're coming right back. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, your host here on Locked On Brewers. Second year host of Locked On Brewers. Longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin. I love the Brewers. I love following them, love covering them, love watching them, love going to the ballpark, love everything about the Milwaukee Brewers. Just bought a Brewers jersey, 1993, on eBay today. I did not have the 93 jersey, but I bought it today. So I got every one now from, well, the 1971 is kind of a replica. My favorite one is not the 76. I have a 1976 Jim Slayton one. That's my favorite one. But I feel like every time I wear that, I get the hot sauce right on on the shirt. Shannon's got to wash it, and it's just a mess. I feel like I messed that one up more. Sometimes I'm afraid to wear some of these jerseys because I'm going to get messed. I'm going to go to the ballpark. When I go to the ballpark, if I'm not covering the game, well, here's what I'll do. I'll sit in the stands in our tickets, and then when the game is over, I'll take my jersey off, I have a shirt in, so I go in the locker room and do post-game interviews. But I like to wear the jersey out in the stands. But I'm always worried when I wear those replica jerseys and even some original game-worn player jerseys, man, I make a mess. I'm at the ballpark. I got a 12-year-old. He's making a mess. Sometimes his mess gets on me. It's not cool. But just bought a 1992, 93 era Brewers jersey. I had not had one of those with the Brewers script across and the pinstripes. So had one of those. But anyway, Christian Yelich. According to Murphy, they're going to make a decision on Tuesday whether or not Yelich is going to be headed to the injured list. They're giving us some medication. They're trying to figure this out. And you all know it's been a problem for Yelich over the years. I mean, the guy was batting .333, 5 home runs. Things were going great. And the backs start coughing up a little bit. So they can backdate that injured list for 3 days. We'll see. But it may be a case where they get to the ballpark on Tuesday and say, well, Yelich, you're going on the injured list. And they'll make a roster move at that point. So it seems like that's the place to go. He's been out of the lineup for, half a week. Obviously, when Yelich's going good, we love to have him in the lineup, but Yelich's not in the lineup right now. And they've been doing fine without him, but they're a better team with Yelich in the lineup. Don't kid yourself. Yelich, they're better with Yelich in the lineup. And hopefully Yelich can get that thing under control. And it's probably one of these things. I don't know anything. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about that. I barely passed chemistry in high school. So I think that's probably one of those things that's going to last him the rest of his career. I mean, it's been going on for a few years right now, and he's 32 years old. It's probably one of those things that's going to go on and on and on. Bukowskis, Murphy says, tricep injury, injured himself Saturday. They don't know the severity of it right now, so we'll find out. He's on the injured list. JB is on the injured list. The power rankings. Yeah, you look at most of the power rankings. Before the season started, the Brewers were 23rd, 22nd, totally disrespected, just like the Brewers always get. Like in the betting line, get disrespected every day in the betting line. They figure nobody's going to bet on the Brewers, so let's make the other team the favorite, no matter how bad that other team is. Brewers could be at home. Well, it sounded like they got it right on Monday. The Brewers were an underdog against San Diego on Monday. But, a lot of times, they've been playing games and they've been underdogs. Mets, you name it. They've been underdogs in all these games. But in the power rankings, the Brewers were somewhere 20 to 30. The most of the power rankings I looked. But the ones that came out today, I look at the Brewers are 5, 6, 7. I saw on our Locked On power rankings, which I vote in, fourth in the power rankings. Oh, I didn't get my vote in this week, but next week for sure. Brewers are fourth. So 5, 6, 7, somewhere around there. I thought that was even a little low. I thought the Brewers should have been maybe third, second at this point. The way they were playing, 10-4 going into Monday. Time will tell, but I don't think the Brewers are 22 to 23. Now, if that pitching, as I talked about at the beginning of this podcast, is brutal and it just goes completely south, then maybe. I don't think that's going to happen. Are the Brewers going to play 700 baseball the rest of the year? That's not happening either. But big stretch here. Got to come back and beat the Padres and end this 2-game skid. Got the Cardinals coming up this weekend on the road. Thinking about making a little road trip to Busch Stadium on that one. Making a little road trip. It'll be my luck. I go to St. Louis and it'll be rained out for 3 of the 4 games out in St. Louis. That's the thing about, we've all gone to Wrigley Field. I think we all have. And you get down there. That's happened to me once where you got down to Wrigley Field for a game. You get there and, it's dark. clouds above and all that on your drive down. And of course, and the heavens open up about 1 o'clock. They put the tarp on and they never play. And then you got to come all the way back. Or you go to a bar across the street, get into a fight with a Cubs fan. I'm kidding. So anyway, the power rankings, Brewers somewhere between 5 and 7 in some of the ones I've seen so far. Apple TV. Now, I put this out on Friday. I had forgotten that the Brewers are going to be on Apple TV on Friday night until Friday afternoon. And, Fridays in Wisconsin, we always like to go for a fish fry or whatever. Something to eat on a Friday. It's been a long week. She doesn't want to cook. I certainly don't feel like doing that. I'm the grilling out guy at my house. So, we go out and grab something to eat on a Friday night. And the Brewers game, you go to a couple of places where, a tavern, Wisconsin tavern, that's what we do. A tavern, fish fry, or, a place that's got good food and, you got the game on. So going out Friday night, I was like, oh man, we'll go watch some of the game, grab a pizza. Okay. We're going to have a pizza, this place that's got the game on because the Brewers games are, hopefully always on. So went in, I got done with my show here in Wisconsin and, we're going to go eat. And I said, oh no, Apple TV. And I put that on Twitter. I said, oh God, Apple TV, that stinks. And of course, there's always some of you guys, not necessarily you guys, but there's always some guy who's going to come at me. Oh, calm down. It's only one game. It's calm down. Yeah, it's only one game, but it's something I want to do tonight. I want to watch the Brewers. They're off to a great start, and they're going to be on one other time on this Apple TV, May 24th. Now, baseball could do what it wants to do. All I'm saying is don't make it tough on the customer. Don't make it difficult on the customer. I want to watch my team. You're going to have it on Apple TV. Okay. But still, should be able to still watch the game on Bally Sports. Well, you're getting it free. Well, we're not getting it free. We're technically paying it through our various cable or direct TV, or you could, the Bally Sports app itself. We're paying for it one way. There's no free TV. We're paying for it. So, yeah, and I was mad about it. So I went on Twitter. I said, I'm disappointed the game's on. And of course, people are coming after me. Oh, buy Apple TV. Well, I'm going out to eat. Well, tell the bar. Well, the bar I'm going to, the restaurant, and they're not going to bother with that. They're not going to bother buying Apple TV. And it might be a case where I know, like the NFL package, you got to pay more if you're a bar. You just don't pay the $400. You got to pay on people coming into the bar and all that. There's some sort of mathematical equation. At least I thought there was. There had been. I don't know if there still was. And maybe the same thing with Apple TV. But let's face it. A lot of places are, restaurants and all are not going to go buy you the Apple TV so you can watch a game or two on TV. They're just not going to do that. So, yeah. So for some of you guys coming after me saying, well, I'll just buy, tell the bar to buy Apple TV. No, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work, especially if, restaurants are trying to keep a low overhead the way it is. So anyway, and then I put on Twitter, oh, my bad. I'm wrong for complaining about this. I'm sorry. And then everybody comes the other way and says, oh, no, Freeman, we're with you, man. This Brewer game, we should be able to watch every Brewer game on TV and not have to pay extra for it. So you can't. Bobby Heenan once said this. If you tell the fans to cheer you, they'll boo you. If you do something bad to the fans, they'll cheer you. They always do the opposite. I feel like that's what Twitter is. You say something bad, people will come after you. If you say something good, they'll say just the opposite. That's the world of Twitter, or X, as we know it. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. We come back. We'll talk about Tuesday's game and the pitching matchup there as the Brewers try to go for the second game of that series and Game Time. We're going to go out to the game, go to Game Time. That's a place where I go. I had that app downloaded. And the great thing about Game Time is you can see where your seat location is, and you can get tickets hour into the game. Lowest price guaranteed, events cancellation protection. I was at the Final Four. And there were guys outside of the Final Four in Arizona. They kept that refreshing Game Time because they're looking for the best possible tickets. They're going to get in. So the prices drop as Game Time of the game of the Final Four began to drop, and they were looking to get in. Flash deals, zone deals, all in pricing, the seat views, the lowest price guaranteed. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app first, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. $20 off your first purchase. You're a first-time user, your first purchase, you buy tickets for $70, you're going to get them for $50 when you use the code LOCKEDONMLB. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code LOCKEDONMLB, $20. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed, and you're going to get some good seats off of that. You're going to go to the Padres game here, Brewers Padres here the next couple of days, or if you're going to St. Louis, take advantage of the Game Time app. Also, this show is brought to you by LinkedIn Sales. Been telling you about LinkedIn Sales and how good it is if you're a sales guy, and we got a lot of sales guys out there who watch Locked On Brewers, listen to us as you're driving around making sales calls. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligent platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes on which accounts you should really prioritize, and show you the hidden allies, and so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's $1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first party, enabling you to unblock and unlock conversations with the people that matter. So right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator, 60-day free trial, linkedin.com/lockedon, linkedin.com/lockedon, 60-day free trial. Get LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and you can sell like a superstar today. Be the star of your office. Go to linkedin.com/lockedin. Get started today. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Down the home stretch we go after this timeout. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Before we get to the game, I want to see some of the comments you guys had today. I'll read a couple of those comments. I put one comment after the game saying Locked On Brewers will be dropped later on tonight. I was not happy that Ross gave up the 6 hits and soft contact and not lost the game. Barstool Milwaukee says a lot of leaky hits, though. Lance says death by paper cuts, some self-inflicted. Chalk it up to one bad inning, and that's what we're going to do. Mark says there were a lot of weak hit balls, shoddy defense that led to the Padres' 7 runs. Ranajan says Padres coming to town at 3 o'clock in the morning. Actually, it was 6 a.m. in the morning they pulled in town, I believe it was. They seem to have more energy than the Brewers. Ross and DL Hall are the weaknesses on this team. Hall is a very bad pitcher. No Corbin Burns. Brewers were screwed in that trade. What remains to be seen. I did not like the deal, as you know, to start. But I would rather have Corbin Burns on this team. What would this team be without? I mean, take Ortiz and Hall off this team. The Brewers would still be 10-5. Add Corbin Burns to this team, and he got something. I mean, he still got something now, but man, add Burns to that rotation. Yeah, I mean, Ortiz and Hall have not made them a better team so far. Nick says weak hits really hurt Ross, deserve better fate. Yeah, and I get it. Weak contact, as I was talking about early in my podcast, but still, loss is a loss. Wade Miley, who pitched very well, 4 innings last time out against Cincinnati last week, ERA of 2.25. Dylan Cease off to a pretty good start with the Padres, a 2.16 ERA. He is 1-1 so far. Of course, he was traded there right before the season started. Dylan Cease, some of you out there said, hey, how about Dylan Cease on the Brewers? Would have liked that, but we know the Brewers weren't going to go down the Dylan Cease road. Would look great in the Brewer rotation. I'd take him in a heartbeat, but he's not coming here, and he wasn't coming here. Never in our lives was Dylan Cease ever coming to the Milwaukee Brewers. All right, that's going to do it for the show. Again, you get our podcast on Google, Spotify, Apple, on all the major downloads. Wherever you download your podcast, we are right there. Google, Spotify, Apple, and please go to our YouTube page, our growing YouTube page, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, That'll alert you every time we drop an episode on Locked On Brewers. Maybe we'll see you at the game coming up on Tuesday. I'll be out there Wednesday, too, for the afternoon game. Love me some midweek afternoon games out at AmFam Field. Hopefully the Brewers come back to take the next two. Either way, we'll be right back here after the game, late night on Tuesday night, talking Brewers-Padres and whatever dramas come out of that one. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Good night and good morning, everybody.